It is January 9th, 2023. It is 6 o'clock for the Common Council meeting on the second floor of City Hall. Media has been notified. Agenda's been posted. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt. Aye. Stephen Jopek.
Here.
Eileen Daniel. Carrie Mikulowski.
Here.
Gerald Anderson. Here. Thomas Barnett. Tom Kelly.
Here.
Leanne Felton.
Here.
Chris Hennis.
Here, we do have quorum. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to public comment. Does anyone have any public comment at this time? Not seeing none. Any from the alders? Not seeing none. Moving on to mayor's comments. So the only thing I have is the Women's League of Rhinelander has approached me about proclaiming a day for them. This will be the 125th year anniversary in the city of Rhinelander. They have done multiple things from helping with the library to other civic groups they have helped. So let it be known that January 11th, 2023 will as GFWC Rhinelanders Women Club Founders Day. Okay, with that, moving on to number 6, which is a presentation by One Nation by Ms. Mikulowski.
Hi, everyone. One Nation, One Project, the folks from there are on the screen. And I'll let them introduce themselves and explain to you what One Nation, One Project is all about.
Thank you so much. I'll get started. My name is Georgia Gempler. I'm with the National League of Cities, and tonight I'm located in Washington, D.C. I'll hand this off to my colleague, Tyler.
Hi, all. My name is Tyler Thomas. I am the Associate Artistic Director for One Nation, One Project, and I am calling in from New York City. I'll pass it on to Michael.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for having us with you. My name is Michael Road. I'm the National Civic Collaborations Director for One Nation, One Project, and I am zooming in from Montana, where I live. I'll pass it on to Jill.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jill Sonke. I'm Director of National Research and Impact for One Nation, One Project, and I'm also joining you from New York City this evening.
Awesome. So, Carrie, am I correct that you would like us to just go straight into the presentation, yeah?
Yes, that would be great.
Awesome. And then we'll be sure to make time for questions and things. We are so thrilled to be visiting virtually. We got the gift of visiting at the end of the year, and we have not stopped talking about the Hodag. I just want the whole room to know that we just had the best time. So we're happy to be reconnected. Team, I'm going to go ahead and screen share and get us started, all right? All righty. Oh, Carrie, could you let us maybe share permissions to be able to screen share?
Yep, she's working on it right now.
Thank you so much. And thanks for everyone's patience.
It's under security, I think, isn't it? You have, it should say multiple users.
And I think I just got access, but it's saying that 2 people can't screen share at the same time. So I think we're super close. All right. Oh, this is perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, all. So again, we are One Nation, One Project. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about the project that we've been working on with the wonderful folks in Rhinelander for the past year. So One Nation, One Project is a national arts and wellness initiative that is designed to activate the power of the arts to repair the social fabric of our nation and heal our communities. I also want to just stop and say that if at any time you can't hear our sound, just give us a wave and we'll be louder and clearer. Thank you. So I'm just going to give a little context on what and who we are. One Nation, One Project was inspired by this initial prompt, recognizing that the challenges that are facing our communities today are so multifaceted, are so complex, that our solutions must be as multifaceted and as complex. So we came around this question, what if arts, health, and the public sector came together to heal American communities? And we got this project actually inspired by a WPA program created in response to the Great Depression in the 1930s called the Federal Theater Project. And that was direct federal funding to artists across the country to be employed as vehicles, as agents of change and recovery in communities across the United States. And so our founders, Lear de Bessonet and Clyde Valentine, were so deeply inspired by that, particularly in a moment as we are all in, coming off the heels and still being very much inside of the COVID pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. Taking that one step further, the Federal Theater Project in 1936 created an unprecedented project. Essentially, it invited 18 US cities and towns from across the country to put on the same play, the same night, each in their own unique voice. And so Lear de Bessonet, one of our co-artistic directors, was inspired by what if communities across the country came together to respond to one prompt, and that prompt being, there's no place like home. And there was a simultaneous premiere of every single one of those projects on one day. And essentially what that would herald would be the plurality of our country, and specifically the ways in which arts are uniquely outfitted to drive health benefits in local communities everywhere. So essentially what we are working on in communities across the country, Rhinelander is one of 9 sites that we currently are partnering with to put on community-based, ambitious, large-scale artistic works that essentially amplify this message, there is no place like home. And in doing so, demonstrate the proven benefits, the proven health benefits of the arts. And so this is what we are all working towards. We've been in a cohort for about almost a year now of folks that are using the arts and culture to catalyze and improve health in their local communities towards a simultaneous culminating of their final projects in the summer of 2024. Georgia, I think I'm going to pass it to you to talk a little bit more about our cohort.
Thanks so much, Tyler. So as you can see, Rhinelander is one of 9 places across the country participating in this initiative. Also represented are really large cities like Chicago, Illinois, and Gainesville, Florida, Providence, Rhode Island, and much smaller cities and towns like Utica, Mississippi, and Edinburgh, Texas. So Rhinelander is the only city represented from the state of Wisconsin and one of the only cities in the Midwest. And as Tyler mentioned, we had an opportunity to visit you all in November of last year, and we honestly fell in love with Rhinelander. So we're very excited to be working with you all.
Thanks so much, Georgia. And now we're going to talk a little bit more just about those health impacts of the arts. Jill, could I pass it on to you?
Yep, definitely. So this project has really been inspired as well by what we now know about how the arts impact the health of our populations. We understand that arts participation is a health behavior because we know that statistically in this country, as well as in other countries, people who participate in the arts, even just once a month or more, so people who have the arts in their lives and have access to the arts in their communities are far less likely to be depressed, to experience dementia, to experience age-related disability, chronic pain, depression. And we also know that people who participate in the arts live longer than people who don't. And all of this research is represents highly controlled studies that take into consideration the things that you might think of, like education, socioeconomic status, and these findings hold up across demographic groups. So we now collectively understand that arts participation is a health behavior. And in our work, we also consider arts participation to be a social determinant of health. And let's see, Michael, I think I'm passing to you for this one.
Excellent. This one that we're looking at right now is really just some different statistics and numbers that kind of make the point that Jill was just making. You can probably read it on the big screen, but things like arts-rich communities lead to 75% reduction in income disparity, $43.3 billion in savings from reduced doctor visits. That's a pretty incredible figure. Arts-rich communities lead to 5 times less likely that low-income students would drop out of high school. So yeah, I think there's a lot of important material that's helped us continue to push ahead on the idea that arts-rich communities are intensely tied to public health in communities like Rhinelander and all the places we live. We'll go on to the next slide, I think. Yeah. And Jill, does this take you back to Arts Desk now, or does it take it to me?
It does, in fact. So
right.
In all this bridging, as we think about how this can happen in communities in a truly sustainable, infused way in communities, we think about the importance of cross-sector partnership. And we're also learning from other communities around the world that are really making good traction on moving the needle on public health goals in their communities by creating partnerships between the arts and culture and public health and municipal sectors. And what we refer to as arts desks is really about the partnerships between the public health and arts and culture sectors and communities. And so we recognize in working with our national network of community health centers that community health centers have a number of ways in which they address social determinants of health. They have transportation desks and housing desks and support for community members who have challenges that impact their health. And so our vision is for arts desks in which there are, in parallel to those other social determinants of health-related services, there are ways in which these partnerships can enhance access to the arts for health promotion in communities. So we see artists working in community health centers. We see co-location of arts and health services. For example, arts in arts settings, at arts events across communities, pop-up health screenings can happen. People can meet health care providers and get linked to health services. And conversely, imagine dance classes, free dance classes at your community health center. And we know that community health centers, especially in suburban and rural communities, have a hard time reaching people who need to utilize their services. So what we're seeing in these co-location programs is that people who won't take themselves to the doctor or get the services they need will often take their kids or family members to free arts programs. And what the heck, while I'm there, I may as well get a screening or get care that I need. So we're seeing a significant enhancements in access to care through these co-location services. We're also seeing a tremendous movement based on the establishment of programs and policy around the world. We're seeing a huge movement towards social prescribing, which means that care providers are prescribing arts, cultural, social activities to their patients in lieu of riskier and costlier and sometimes unnecessary medical treatments. And so social prescribing is something that we're really excited about in our communities as a way of linking people to health, to arts and cultural programs and services that can help them stay healthier and not need so much of the medical services.
Thank you so much, Jill. So essentially each community is piloting an arts desk, be it that co-location of services or social prescribing or an artist in residence. And at the same time, using that to culminate in one final arts project in the summer of 2024. And so if on the local level, we are practicing cross-sector systems alignment, of course, it makes sense that on the organizational level, we would do the same. So nationally, ONOP is comprised by the partners you see here, our major partner being the National League of Cities, which George is going to talk a little bit about. But you'll also see the emblem of J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot. They have, funny enough, a nonprofit sector of their work called Good Robot, and they have been championing our work since the beginning. We're also partnered with the Milken Institute of Public Health at George Washington University, some community-based, like deeply community-based organizations like the Apollo or YBCA. You can read them here. But it's incredible. We're building at every single level tables in which folks from all across the sectors of our essentially of our society coming together to promote the power of arts and health. So Georgia, do you want to talk a little bit about how the NLC got involved in this and also the work that y'all do?
Absolutely. Thank you. So the National League of Cities is a membership association for local governments for cities, towns, and villages across the country. We represent more than 200 million people who have become part of our membership. Next slide, please. Our mission is to strengthen local leadership, influence federal policy, and drive innovative solutions. Next slide, thank you. And our work with you all is through our Institute for Youth Education and Families, which centers values of racial equity, economic empowerment, equal justice, high quality education, and strong health outcomes, irrespective of zip code. So the National League of Cities involvement with One Nation, One Project is essentially to support you all, to support the municipal leadership in Rhinelander and in the other 9 sites that we're working with through this initiative. We support the cohort in technical assistance. We support city leadership and staff in the project design and planning and implementation of this work. We also support cities in using their ARPA funds for this project. So some cities have chosen to allocate their ARPA money to support their arts sectors. So we can provide examples or context or help cities understand the rules of doing something like this. And we also support cross-sector collaboration. This is a very, very highly cross-sector, highly collaborative endeavor that Rhinelander has chosen to embark upon, working across local government, county government even, the arts sector, and your local health sector. And so we're here to support you all in working across these sectors and developing relationships and supporting these partnerships over time.
Thanks, Georgia. And now I think Jill is going to share a little bit more about the research aspect of our work, which is critical to what we do.
Thank you, Tyler. So we do have a significant research component to the project because we're very interested, not only as a national initiative in understanding the value and the changes that happen across the country, but we're really interested in supporting each local community in doing the same. So we recognize the significant investment as well as opportunity that this project represents to you. And we really want to make sure that you're garnering value from all of the effort that you put into the project. So we've got a pretty amazing research team and research enterprise that we're bringing to bear to measure outcomes. So we've got a few components of our research that we have sort of designed at the national level. You see in the green circles on this slide, we're testing our theory of change. So one of the hunches that drives this project is that there's a relationship, and in fact, a causal relationship between arts participation, social cohesion, and well-being in communities. So we believe that communities in which there's a high level of arts participation will have a higher level of social cohesion, and in turn, a higher level of collective well-being. So we're testing that theory through surveys and focus groups in each community. We're working with an infrastructure that you may have heard about already that's really important to this project. And that's the box that you see it's on my left. It should be on your left as well, of the slide, the community, thank you, Tyler, the community map makers groups. Map makers are our guides. They help us map the project and understand your community. They're like the community advisory group. So they're members of your community who are helping us understand your community, who are helping us make decisions around how to conduct research, what kinds of methods are appropriate in your community, and what questions are important to your community. So with these map makers, we're really interested in the guidance that will be provided in designing not only that theory of change study, but looking at specific and health and well-being outcomes in your community. And that's the second green circle lower on the slide there. So your map makers are guiding us in thinking about what's important and what can be measured in your community that would be of value to you. At the heart of our research enterprise is the commitment to, again, bringing value to your community. So we recognize that there is a big and daunting history of extraction and research in the United States, wherein researchers come into a community, they collect data, they take it away, they publish it, and they garner value, but often not much comes back to the community. So we will provide your community with all of the data that is collected and with analyses of all of those data. So our goal is to leave each community with a data repository so that you can own your own data. And in the future, when researchers come to you, you can say, yep, we've got that data and here's the way you can use it. So you can have more power and more ownership over that research and that data and potentially even monetize it. So our research team is here to do the heavy lifting, guided by your community, and to ensure that your community is able to gain capacity and power in the research process and answer your own questions.
Thanks so much, Jill. So this is a pretty, wordy slide, but essentially it gives a broad strokes of our timeline. And we are just around phase 4, which is super thrilling. So all of our cohort participants have been working over the past year to really create that cross-sector table, to invest in the planning that's informed by the mapmakers groups that Jill mentioned. And they are going into, starting this month, implementation. So translating that work into regular arts engagement and activities, be it through the design of a skate park, be it through collaborating with local youth or local artists, in addition to devising and dreaming and imagining that final project, which will premiere in 2024. So we're really excited for the next 18 months. And I think we are at a time for questions, as I'm sure there are some.
So I would just like to say that the project that Rhinelander will be working on is the skate park. Part of the application that was sent in to One Nation, One Project for funding is through the kids from Over It alongside with Art Start. And they're collaborating along with Marshfield Clinic. I represent the city currently, although Tom Barnett is also a map maker. And then there's different artists of different, what do you call, like categories, or there's like
Disciplines.
Disciplines. Okay, so there's all different kinds of artists as well that are part of that map makers team that we meet on a monthly basis. So if anyone has any questions, now would be the time to ask.
Mr. Jopek?
This is the first time that you guys have done this, right? Just making sure. Okay, because one of my questions I wrote down was, what if others use this research data that you talked about monetizing? Not that I'm worried about the monetizing. I'm just curious, what what do you see that research being used for by a rural municipality like Rhinelander?
Yeah. That's a really great question. And I will say that we are in alignment with many people in the United States who are very interested in shifting this extractive research paradigm. So we're not alone in our thinking and in our efforting. We've got other partners and other researchers who are working in this way. So what I imagine in that scenario is, let's say, we collect over the next several years with you. We know we're going to collect data related to arts participation among your community members. We know we're going to collect data at multiple time points around social cohesion and well-being. Depending on what your map makers are interested in, we may be collecting data related to the mental health of young people, mental health or other issues in your community. You will have that data so that as you as a council are considering, for example, opportunities or proposals that come across your desks, you'll have data that you can query immediately. We're not going to just give you a thumb drive with, Excel spreadsheets of data. We're working with potential partners to develop a repository that can be queried. So you'll have a system, a web-based system in which you can ask your data questions and get answers immediately, as opposed to saying, well, I wonder, what is the mental health status of youth in our communities? Who, do we have that data? Who can we ask? Who can we go to? Do we need a researcher? It can often either not be possible or be very time consuming in order to answer questions that could be useful to you in making decisions. So again, depending on the kind of data that we end up collecting based on how we were guided by you, we envision that data could be useful to you in accelerating your ability to make data-informed decisions in your own communities.
I would like to add on briefly, if I may. Thanks so much, Jill. I think also, just to boost what Jill's saying a little bit, the more data that you as a city, as a municipality have, the more able you are to, in the future, make future connections with others to serve your constituents. So for example, the main focus of Rhinelander's project is social isolation and mental health, specifically among youth and elders in your community. That has been identified as the main focus. The skate park is part of this initiative, but with more data around how prevalent mental illness is among youth in Rhinelander and elders in Rhinelander, you might be able to, as a municipality, support programming through programs that serve elders in particular to better connect them with more social opportunities, to hold more kinds of public festivals, to bring people together, etc. It might change the way that you view how you bring people together in the city overall, and also what kinds of health interventions and health opportunities you choose to invest in.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll mention that you all will have access to, we're building also a repository of key data, for you all. We were working on this as a team today so that, again, supporting George's point, if you're making decisions, you can have at your fingertips some key articles. For instance, sort of following on some of what Georgia was saying, we have out of one of the labs that I run, we have a study that's in under review for publication right now that shows that adults over the age of 50 who participate in receptive arts activities just once a month or more, like going to a performance or concert, are 84% more likely to have healthy aging 2 years later. And that means the absence of a chronic disease, good cognitive functioning, mental health, and physical health. So these are, super compelling statistics. And with things like that at your fingertips, you'll be able to expedite some of that decision making.
And I forgot to mention too that part of this project, Georgia mentioned, is regarding seniors. And so we've also teamed up with the Aging and Disability Resource Center to start it's called Spark. And basically it's showing that arts help those with dementia. And so the ADRC and the Art Start are currently working together on that program as well.
And Carrie, I just want to reflect back to you. I believe that in addition to the skate park and that work with seniors, you and your team at ArtStart have been making quite a commitment to making sure that you are building opportunities for artists in the community and folks not just involved in the skate park and senior services, but others to be looking at how you can contribute to public good across different sectors, that we're building a way of working in Rhinelander, not just on this project, but an ongoing way of collaborating.
Yes, that's correct. And ArtStart's got their hands, into that more so than what I do, but definitely it's cross-sector, starting with the youth all the way up to the elderly, so.
Okay. Well, not seeing any other questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on. Number 7, which is public hearings. We do not have any, we do not have none for this meeting. Moving on to number 8, which is ordinances. We do not have none. Okay, moving on to 9, unfinished business. At this time, we do not have. Moving on to 10. So at this point, since I have a financial and vested interest in 10A, I return it over to Steve, our attorney.
Thank you. Normally, Alderman Daniels would take over at this point, but since she's not there, rather than voting to have a substitute president of the council, I thought that simply one of you could make a motion and I could suggest that I could play the parliamentarian role. That's all I really want to do. So the motion before you, or the issue before you, is there's been an application for a Class B liquor and beer license for Dabar LLC. The agent is Christopher Hannes. Location of the property is 10 North Stevens Street. The police department and the fire department have expressed no concerns. Neither has the zoning department. So it's up to the council what action they'd like to take. Yes, Tom?
I would make that motion to approve the Class B beer liquor license for the Bar LLC, Chris Hannes, agent.
Holt, second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. The motion carries.
Okay, moving on to 10B. Discuss and approve council meeting minutes from 12/27. Mr. Holt?
I will make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes from December 27th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Michalowski, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Motion passes. Moving on to C, discuss and approve bills and claims of $2,626,113.63.
Holt, I will make a motion to approve the bills
Is there-
in the amount of $2,626,113.63.
Felton, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing any. Since it's a dollar amount, clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett. Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Carrie McLowski.
Aye.
Tom Kelly.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Eileen Daniel. Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 10D, discuss new municipal well. Refer to Randy, our Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. I have laid before all of you just a rough draft of an RFQ I'll be sending out tomorrow. I do want to point out, though, I just finished this an hour ago, so if there are any typos, please don't let that influence your opinion of my technical writing skills. I will have those corrected, and I will have a conclusion page to it. But we are going to, tomorrow, be sending out our RFQ. We'll be seeking engineering firms to submit their qualifications. We will be asking them, if you look up on the map there, to focus on the areas in yellow. The circles in red are our existing wells. But I lay out in the RFQ our reasons why we are wanting to focus along Highway 17 there. So yes, I just want to, again, brief the council and the mayor on where we are with that. I hope to have, well, the RFQ will state that they must be submitted by the end of this month. And then on the February 6th council meeting, I will be presenting to council members my recommendation for who we pick. Also, acting on Tom Barnett's request for a public awareness meeting, I will be hosting an informal town hall Tuesday the 24th of January at the Art Start building. Tomorrow I will be posting this publicly for publication. I'll be introducing myself and some of the staff members of Public Works Department, describing some of our department's practices and procedures, and I'll be inviting questions about the department, ranging over various topics. I'll send out an official invite tomorrow, and it'll include all the council members. If there's any questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. Anderson?
Does that meeting include all aspects of public works?
Yes. I'll invite constructive questions about public works, but yes, absolutely. Anything else?
Ms. Michalowski?
Can you repeat the time of that meeting?
That's going to be 5:30, I believe. That might change. I'm coordinating with Art Start, but they've made their building available. So, nothing else.
So my understanding, you'll be coming back for the first February meeting with recommendations of what firm we should move with for exploring well sites.
That's correct.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 10E. At last council, we were directed to make a resolution to support a grant application Art Start wants to do to beautify their outdoor space. Page 10 on your Chromebooks is said resolution. Just looking to have a motion to approve.
Holt, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-1, resolution to support in support of Art Start's submittal of application to the CDI grant program, including the Vibrant Spaces pilot.
Is there a second?
Michalowski, second.
Any discussion? Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, should we have a little more explanation of the Vibrant Spaces project and what they're planning to do? Well, what the T-Mobile grant is too.
True. So they have to partner with a government entity to be able to apply. So they're looking for our, in part, for support, not of any kind of financial support or logistics, just, to show that we would like this to be in our community. The plan is to beautify and upgrade their outdoor space. Kind of right now there's a stage and, some parking lot they're looking to remove, make it more ADA friendly and just more inviting for the public to attend for an outdoor space that, isn't just a blacktop parking lot.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Since it's a resolution, clerk, if you'd like to take the roll call.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel, Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett, Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes, resolution passes. Moving on to F. So this would be page 11 in your packet. So every 2 years, we do $1 million borrowing for capital improvement. With that, we like to get you a list of what we're thinking for what we need and what we're budgeting for. Number 11 would be that. So this is just to kind of show you what's on the plate. This was part of our budget, but we haven't talked about the details. So that's what this is. This could change technically at any time. It's not a locked in stone concept. It's just more, we want to see what your thoughts are on these topics